We'll talk more about the trading activity thus far in XRPC. Obviously, it's
how do you turn something from being a token into money? It's a really, really complicated.
Hey, Future Millionaires, welcome back to the channel. It's so good to see you again. I really hope you're having an amazing day, no matter where you are around this incredible world of ours. Today, we need to talk about XRP, and wow, do we have some interesting developments to break down together. So here's what's happening right now. We're looking at the one-day chart, and XRP is sitting at $2.29. Now, I know what you're thinking. XRP actually dipped today along with the rest of the market, and you're probably scratching your head wondering, wait a minute, how on earth did that happen? Especially with that Canary Spot XRP ETF going live. I get it. It seems totally backwards, right? Well, don't worry because I'm going to walk you through exactly what happened and why the market reacted this way. Trust me, by the end of this video, everything will make perfect sense. All right, Future Millionaires, let's talk about what everyone's buzzing about right now. Bitcoin just dropped back under that psychological $100,000 mark, and I can practically hear the panic in the crypto community. People are freaking out, asking the big scary question, is this it for Bitcoin? Are we about to watch it tumble all the way down to $50,000 or even lower? But here's the thing, and I want you to really listen to this. I'm still bullish on Bitcoin bouncing back. Yeah, you heard me right. When Bitcoin decides to make its comeback, and I believe it will, it's going to be like a rocket ship that lifts the entire crypto market right along with it. So before you start hitting that panic sell button, let's dive into why I think Bitcoin still has some serious fight left in it. Now, I personally think Bitcoin has one more big push upward before we see it come crashing back down. But that's just my take on it. But here's where things get really exciting, Future Millionaires. I came across this fascinating analysis from Greg, and it's got me thinking, what if we're about to see history repeat itself, but this time with XRP instead of Bitcoin? Let me paint you a picture here. When Bitcoin got its spot ETF approval, something incredible happened. First, it dumped about 20%, which had everyone panicking, right? But then, boom, it pumped 91%. And if that wasn't crazy enough, it eventually exploded with a massive 230% gain from the original launch point. Now imagine for a second, what if XRP follows that exact same pattern? We could be looking at XRP hitting $6 or even higher. And guys, that's not just wishful thinking. This could absolutely play out from where we are right now. And here's the kicker that everyone needs to remember. This Canary XRP ETF launch, that was literally just day one. We're still at the very beginning of this story. Okay, Future Millionaires, if you're still scratching your head wondering why the XRP price didn't immediately shoot to the moon today, let me break this down for you in simple terms. You need to understand exactly how this whole ETF process actually works. Here's the thing. Tomorrow is when the magic happens. All those net inflows from today, they're about to be handed over to purchase the actual XRP tokens. What I'm telling you is this, the ETFs are literally about to go on the biggest XRP shopping spree we've ever seen. And once this buying frenzy starts, it's not going to stop. It just keeps rolling. Let me show you exactly how this works. It's actually pretty brilliant. When people buy these new ETF shares, that money doesn't just sit there. It gets passed along to the ETF sponsor, and then boom, they use that capital to go out and buy more of the underlying asset. In this case, that's XRP. So tomorrow, Canary is going to be purchasing an absolutely massive amount of XRP tokens. Now, a lot of people in the community are saying, oh no, there goes all the available supply on the exchanges. But here's where it gets interesting. I actually asked Grok where all this XRP is going to come from, and the answer might surprise you. Will Canary buy their XRP from over-the-counter or exchanges? So here's the fascinating part about how these ETFs actually work, Future Millionaires. They're not going to buy XRP the way you and I would. They're going over-the-counter instead. Think about it this way. If Canary just went onto public exchanges like Coinbase or Binance and started buying massive amounts of XRP, what do you think would happen? Total chaos, right? The price would go absolutely wild with all that high-volume buying hitting the market at once. So instead, these smart ETF issuers like Canary have a different game plan. They partner up with specialized over-the-counter trading desks to make these huge XRP purchases behind the scenes. It's like buying in bulk directly from the warehouse instead of clearing out every store in town. But here's the million-dollar question that everyone wants to know. And I mean everyone is asking this right now. Will these massive over-the-counter purchases actually affect XRP's price? Well, let me tell you what I think about that. Understanding over-the-counter buys and their impact on the XRP price. All right, Future Millionaires, here's the short and sweet answer. Directly? No, it won't immediately pump the price. But indirectly? Oh yeah, absolutely yes. And here's the best part. It's usually bullish news for us long-term holders. Let me break this down so it makes perfect sense. First, the no direct impact part. When these over-the-counter purchases happen, they don't actually hit the public order books that you and I see on exchanges. This means they completely avoid what's called slippage. You know, those sudden crazy price swings that happen when massive orders start flooding exchanges like a tsunami. This keeps XRP's spot price nice and stable in the short term, which is exactly why big institutions love doing it this way. It's like being able to buy a huge amount without causing a scene. Super efficient for bulk purchases without accidentally spiking the cost through the roof. And get this, Ripple has been doing this exact same thing for years. Those monthly escrow releases, about 200 million XRP gets sold over the counter every single month. This actually reduces the visible selling pressure on exchanges, which is fantastic news for all of us. So while you might not see fireworks immediately, the long-term effects, that's where the real magic happens. But here's where things get really exciting for us long-term XRP holders. Future millionaires. Over time, these over-the-counter purchases can absolutely transform XRP's price, and in all the right ways. Let me explain why this is such a big deal. First up, supply pressure gets completely flipped on its head. When these big institutions buy XRP over the counter, they're not just buying it to flip for a quick profit. They're locking it up for actual utility, which means that XRP gets pulled right out of the circulating supply that us retail traders compete for. Think about it. This creates what's called a supply shock over time, especially as adoption keeps growing. And we're already seeing this happen in real life. Companies like Vivo Power and others are making the smart move to pivot to XRP as their treasury asset. Get this, they're each absorbing about 20% of the monthly escrow supply. That's massive, but there's more. High over-the-counter volume is like a giant neon sign flashing institutional confidence. When retail investors see this, it boosts sentiment and drives more buying on exchanges. It's like a positive feedback loop. And here's what really gets me excited. The data shows that Ripple's over-the-counter sales have completely shifted. They're not selling to speculators anymore. They're selling to actual operational partners who are tying XRP to real-world use cases like remittances. Now, let's talk history for a second. During that whole SEC drama, people were watching these over-the-counter sales like hawks. But guess what? They didn't suppress prices nearly as much as those old programmatic sales did. And post-ruling, Ripple completely changed their game plan. They phased out traditional over-the-counter sales for something way smarter. On-demand liquidity-focused sales that balance buys and sells, but still favor us holders through genuine utility demand. This is the evolution we've been waiting for, future millionaires. All right, future millionaires, let's talk about what's coming next, because this is where things get really interesting. So, we've established that these ETFs are buying over-the-counter right now, which is smart. But here's a mind-blowing fact that not everyone realizes. Ripple is currently sitting on a massive 36.5 billion XRP. That's an absolutely huge amount. But here's the catch, and this is crucial. That XRP can't just flood the market whenever they want. It's locked up tight and can only enter circulation on specific release dates. We're talking about a very controlled system here. Now, we all know the pattern by now. Every single month, like clockwork, 1 billion tokens get unlocked from escrow. It's been happening for years. But this brings up a fascinating question that's got everyone in the crypto space scratching their heads. What happens when demand from these over-the-counter buyers starts outpacing supply? Will these over-the-counter sellers eventually run out of XRP to sell? And honestly, that's the million-dollar question that nobody has a definitive answer to right now. We're in completely uncharted territory here, future millionaires. The truth is, we really don't know what happens next. And that uncertainty might just be the most exciting part of this whole story. And then I asked how much XRP is left for sale over the counter. And boom, right away, they pointed straight to that escrow system we just talked about. But here's the thing, future millionaires. We're all flying blind when it comes to predicting exactly how this is going to impact XRP's price. Now, my honest take, in the short term, I still think we're going to see the price get pushed upward. But let's be realistic here. I don't expect some massive explosive pump right out of the gate. It's probably going to be more of a steady climb at first. But here's where things get absolutely wild. Give it just a couple of weeks, maybe even less, and we're going to start seeing all those other XRP ETFs coming online one by one. And when that happens, oh man, we could suddenly find ourselves facing a serious scarcity issue for XRP. Picture this, multiple ETFs all trying to buy massive amounts of XRP at the same time, while the supply stays controlled by that monthly escrow release schedule. That's when things could get really, really interesting for us holders. We're talking about a potential supply crunch that could send shockwaves through the entire market. And listen to this, future millionaires. Even Cobb is getting fired up about this. He literally said, "Tell me how XRP isn't teleporting to $4 in November." I mean, teleporting. That's the kind of confidence we're seeing from the big players right now. And when you look at the numbers, it's pretty mind-blowing. Check this out. There are 18 ETFs in the pipeline. We've got Canary that just went live, which means we still have 17 more coming down the track, one after another like dominoes. Each one of these ETFs, they're all going to have to go out and buy massive amounts of XRP and hold on to it. Can you imagine the buying pressure when all 18 are operational? This is why I think we're going to see this scarcity situation hit way sooner than most people are expecting. I know a lot of you are feeling disappointed right now after today's price action. I get it, I really do. But here's what I want you to remember. I think over the next week or two, that disappointment is going to turn into pure excitement. I'm calling it right now. We're going to see $4 XRP in November. And honestly, that's me being conservative. I think there's a real possibility we could break into complete price discovery mode and start pushing toward those beautiful double digits we've all been dreaming about. This could be the month that changes everything for us, future millionaires. And you know what, future millionaires? Even Brad Garlinghouse himself is celebrating. He came out and said, "It's finally happening." Can you feel that energy? The CEO of Ripple is pumped, and so should we be. But wait until you hear these absolutely insane numbers. Belchunis dropped some mind-blowing stats that had everyone's jaws on the floor. Are you ready for this? XRPC hit $26 million in volume in just the first 30 minutes. 30 minutes, people. Eric was completely blown away. He said it was going to absolutely destroy his original $17 million guess for the entire day. And then he said something that got everyone excited. This thing had a legitimate shot at beating BSOL's record of $57 million, which was the biggest day one launch of any ETF this entire year. And guess what happened by the end of the day? XRP's ETF didn't just beat BSOL, it absolutely crushed that record. We're talking about making crypto history here, future millionaires. This was honestly one of the most massive days we've ever seen for XRP holders. If you've been holding XRP through all the ups and downs, through the SEC case, through everything, this day was for you. This was validation that our patience and belief in XRP's potential was absolutely worth it. But here's what really gets me excited. Future millionaires, this incredible day one performance just gave us the perfect roadmap for what's coming next. Because like I keep saying, this was literally just day one. We're at the very beginning of this story, and we've got so many more ETFs waiting in the wings to launch. You've got to hear what's coming up next. This is going to blow your mind.
We'll talk more about the trading activity thus far in XRPC. Obviously, it's very early. We're recording this not long after the market opened, but what does the initial trading look like so far?
Yeah, so far in the first 15 minutes, we've seen about 20 million in volume, and we expect a lot more. One of the things that won't show up in volume is in kind, and we can talk a little bit more about that if you want. But now that in kind has opened up for crypto ETFs, you won't see that in volume, but you'll see it in end of day AUM.
Look, future millionaires, I think today was absolutely massive, and I don't care how much people want to argue about it. I know. I can already hear some of you saying, but wait, I thought XRP was supposed to skyrocket today. Where are my Lambos? But here's what they're completely missing. Future millionaires. They don't understand the massive impact this is going to have on XRP month after month after month. This isn't about today's price action. This is about building unstoppable momentum. Once XRP starts its real breakout, and trust me, it's coming, that's when everything changes. Because then you're going to see retail FOMO kick in like wildfire. Picture this perfect storm brewing. You've got institutional demand that's only getting stronger, retail FOMO about to explode, and XRP supply literally disappearing from the market. We all know exactly what happens when those three forces collide, don't we? Much higher prices for XRP. And speaking of higher prices, get ready for this bombshell. A crypto expert just revealed how XRP ETFs could potentially add a mind-blowing $1 trillion to XRP's market cap after launch. $1 trillion, future millionaires. Let that sink in for a moment. And this he's not factoring in what we're going to see over a period of time. And remember, future millionaires, this is just the short-term picture we're looking at right now. Fast forward to 2026. After these ETFs have been live and running for several months, you're going to see absolutely sustained, continuous volume flowing through these ETFs like a river that never stops. So that $1 trillion market cap prediction, honestly, I think it could go way higher than that. And here's why I'm so confident about this. People aren't realizing what's happening behind the scenes. A lot of these major institutions are starting to look beyond Bitcoin now. They're looking beyond Ethereum, too. The big question everyone's asking is, what's the next big play? Where do we put our money for the next cycle? Now, don't get me wrong, I think Solana is going to do really well in the long term, too. But here's my bold prediction, future millionaires. I genuinely believe XRP is going to absolutely outperform all of them. We're talking about XRP potentially becoming the king of the next crypto cycle. And with all these ETFs creating unstoppable buying pressure, this could be the opportunity of a lifetime. And you know what, future millionaires? There's no way in the world that BlackRock is going to just sit on the sidelines and watch all this incredible action happening without them. BlackRock's XRP ETF is definitely coming. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And can you imagine? After seeing today's absolutely insane volume numbers, IXRP has such a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Picture BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, throwing their massive weight behind XRP. When that happens, we're talking about a whole new level of institutional validation and buying power. All right, future millionaires, let me break down these absolutely mind-blowing numbers for you. Check this out. We're looking at a daily average scenario where just one ETF fund could see $245 million in inflows. That's already massive, right? But here's where it gets crazy. Multiply that by 12 ETF funds, and you're suddenly looking at $2.9 billion in XRP daily net inflows. Let me say that again. $2.9 billion flowing into XRP every single day. Now, apply the 100x daily market cap multiplier, and boom, we're staring at $294 billion. And that's just in the short term, people. So here's my question for you. Do you honestly think BlackRock, the absolute giant of asset management, is just going to sit back in their fancy offices and watch this incredible money-making opportunity slip by? Not a chance. XRP already crushed it and outperformed everything else on day one. You think BlackRock isn't taking notes? You think they're not going to want a piece of this action? They absolutely are. And when BlackRock finally files for their spot XRP ETF, and trust me, it's coming, that's when everything changes overnight. The price is going to spike so fast it'll make your head spin, because retail FOMO is going to go absolutely ballistic when that announcement drops. We're talking about the ultimate seal of approval from the biggest player in the game. How do you turn something from being a token into money? XRP has done it. Take a listen to Galaxy CEO Mike Novogratz.
How do you turn something from being a token into money? It's a really, really complicated and difficult. So far, we've had a few that have done it. XRP has done it, and that surprised everybody, right? Because
did it surprise you?
It did, and listen. We're a big owner of XRP, the company, but the token, because I had all the same reasons everyone else. It was less decentralized. It was not a true blockchain. You can all the criticisms at XRP. It missed something important. They built a fierce community of people that believed in their narrative and turned it into money. And for them, it's money.
Now let me clarify something really important here, future millionaires. XRP is a digital currency. Actually, let me word that better. It's a bridge currency. That's the key distinction. Think about XRP as this incredible tool that can move anything of value from point A to point B seamlessly. But here's the beautiful thing. It can be looked at in so many different ways. Some people see it as money, others see it as digital gold for banks. We've talked about all these narratives multiple times over the years, but here's what really gets me excited about the future. XRP holders like us are going to become our own banks. Picture this. In the long term, you're going to be spending your XRP the exact same way you spend regular money today. How incredible is that? I honestly think all it takes is that institutional adoption we're starting to see right now, and that's going to create a domino effect leading to massive retail adoption. And when that happens, XRP is going to rise as the world's true bridge currency. Now, the reason I really wanted to dive deep into what happened with the ETF today is because I want to explain this better than everyone else out there is doing it. I keep hearing people making excuses like, oh, well, it's just Bitcoin dumping that caused XRP to drop. And yeah, Bitcoin's dump did play a factor. I'm not going to lie about that. But it goes so much deeper than that simple explanation. I want to give you the real picture of where we're heading from here, because these over-the-counter sales. But now we know that's going to happen, future millionaires. Here's the million-dollar question, though. What happens when there's literally no XRP left to sell over the counter? Think about it. A massive chunk of XRP is locked up tight in Ripple's Escrow system, and we all have to wait for those monthly unlocks to happen. This is exactly why I believe we're heading straight toward a major scarcity situation. And here's where things get really interesting. I think at some point, these ETFs like Canary and all the others are going to have no choice but to start buying XRP directly on the exchanges, just like you and I do. Picture this scenario. People are panic selling on red days. You know how it goes. Emotions take over. And meanwhile, these massive ETFs are just sitting there like hungry sharks, swallowing up all that discounted XRP. It's going to be like a feeding frenzy, but in reverse. Even Grok explains this perfectly. Sure, these over-the-counter sales might not move XRP's price on day 1 or day 2. But here's the thing that everyone needs to understand. Eventually, it absolutely will start affecting the price. Why? Because you're constantly taking XRP out of circulation. That's what really matters here, future millionaires. The more XRP that disappears from circulation, the more we're all heading toward the same beautiful destination: scarcity meeting unstoppable demand. And until that moment arrives, here's what I need from all of you. Stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. That's a wrap on today's video, future millionaires. Thank you so much for watching and being part of this incredible community. I genuinely appreciate each and every one of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have an amazing night.